Well, and a fun fact about Dre, he actually plays fantasy hockey.
Also fantasy bull riding.
I don't
what?
I don't even know what to say about that, Dre.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna leave that there. Things you didn't know you would hear today.
But bull riding's interesting. You ought to give it a shot.
The only bull riding I'm interested in is like the mechanical bulls in the bar.
Oh yeah, sure, like the PBA bars or whatever.
The old drunk girls in the cowboy hats.
That's a good time.
Have either one of you ever ridden a mechanical bull?
Nope.
No,
I haven't either. Someone tried to get me on one, and I almost did.
I think that would be an interesting segment. I think that would be amazing to put on Twitter.
If y'all did it.
I would do it.
This is going to get into a new regular recurring segment called Never Have I Ever.
So welcome to the Joe Schmos Sports Show. My name is Clint Webb. I'm with my co-host Dominic Battistella and our producer, Mr. Dre Cameron. And this is our first show, ladies and gentlemen. So we are just regular guys that know just enough about sports to have this show. And this is our introduction episode. So the point of this is to get you guys to know us a little bit, a little bit about where we grew up, who we are, and what our sports affiliations are. So going forward that we are going to be biased on certain topics.
And if you haven't figured it out yet, Clint's crutch word is the word so. So, without further ado, Clint, why don't you tell us where you're from?
So, I am from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. I am 41 years old. My wife and I have an 18-year-old daughter who is getting ready to start, or actually has started college. She's going to be a surgeon at UNC Charlotte. And my biases lie in this order: UNC Tar Heels, everything UNC Tar Heels. I don't care if it's basketball or archery. And then you got the Chicago Cubs, who are my baseball vice, and the Houston Texans. Other than that, team-wise, I'm pretty unbiased when it comes to that.
So let me ask you a question. That is a diverse...
It is.
Diverse geography when it comes to your sports affiliation. So I know the Cubs are way older, so how did that come about? I understand UNC,
right?
Being that
how
you're from
you
Chapel
not?
Hill.
Correct.
You're a Tar Heel through and through. Got it.
Goes a little deeper than that, but yes.
So
the Cubs thing. So my mom is from Oak Park, Illinois.
Okay.
And so she grew up in Chicago, suburb of Chicago.
Okay.
And she grew up taking herself to Cubs games when she was a teenager, hopping on the L and riding to Wrigley to see Billy Williams and Ron Santo and the late years of Ernie Banks.
She took herself to Cubs games.
She would go by herself.
Wow. So what you're saying is your mom is way cooler than you are.
That is not false. So, but she went every year. I mean, a lot of times every year to the games.
Okay.
She grew up watching Cubs baseball. She had me grow up watching Cubs baseball because, luckily enough, living in the United States of America, we had a superstation called WGN.
WGN, yeah.
And WGN broadcast Cubs games all across the country.
Yeah, that's so before ESPN started broadcasting baseball games, you could get two games in the Southeast.
Two.
There was the Chicago Cubs
and the Atlanta Braves.
On TBS.
Well, and then occasionally,
they were both garbage at the time.
And if the night was clear, you could occasionally get WOR, which would play Royals games.
Yeah,
but it had you had to be standing with the antenna, holding it the right way. Left leg up, some aluminum foil in your right hand. Stuff like that.
So your mom made you go up on the roof? Is that what you're saying?
No. I would watch Cubs games on cleared cable. Back then.
Okay, I got you.
So I grew up watching Cubs games, and then the Texans is a little bit weirder. I'm a fantasy football guy, as you guys know.
Okay.
Been playing fantasy football for 20 years.
Yep.
And so it's kind of hard to have an affiliation when you don't start with an affiliation.
Okay.
Because living in North Carolina,
When you grew up, the team was Washington, right?
Yeah, we didn't have a pro football team here. Panthers didn't come in until the early to mid 90s.
Right?
Yeah, so we didn't have a professional football team, and so I was more. My mom is from Chicago. She didn't follow the Bears as much as she followed every other sport.
Okay,
so it wasn't like I had to watch the Bears growing up, like I had to watch the Cubs.
Sure.
So when I got home during every day would be Cubs games.
Yeah.
So, but with the football. My wife is from Houston.
Okay.
And so she grew up, believe it or not, a Cowboys fan. She grew up a Cowboys fan and / Oilers just because of the Houston. Mm-hmm. But when they traded him at Smith, she she got away from the Cowboys. She got away from the Cowboys.
She got off that narcotic,
right? Because Jerry, she could not do Jerry Jones any longer. And my wife is a football fan.
Okay, yeah.
And so she does watch football.
Yep.
Actually, when they lose and she watches, she doesn't watch to see if not watching will make them win. Mm-hmm. Right, so she does have some superstitions, even though she may not. Of course, she may not think about it like that. Mm-hmm. But that's all. That's my sports affiliates. I will be 1,000,000% biased to Tar Heels and Cubs. A little less biased to the Texans.
So you mentioned fantasy football when you were talking about the Texans, and you said you didn't really have an affiliation, but you came to that. Did you come to that because of your wife, or because you had a love for a particular Houston Texan when you were involved in fantasy football?
So I did not have a particular love for a Houston Texan. So my wife is from Houston. Okay. She, and we watched the first Texans game. 2002, it was David Carr.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, he was sacked 7.3 million times that season. He still holds the record. But that was so. I loved André Johnson, but how could you not?
Yeah.
My
Arian
wife
Foster.
Was
Arian, fantasy guy.
Arian was that guy.
Oh yeah.
We actually now before COVID went to a game every year at a different stadium.
Nice.
Right. So we've been to Tennessee, we've been to Atlanta, we've been to Denver.
Okay.
So I mean, we started this a couple years ago, and so we've been to a lot of different stadiums. Cincinnati, we've been. We try to go Monday night games, Sunday night games, something prime time, and just see a new city.
Nice.
So when we did that, actually the first game we ever went to together was in Nashville, Tennessee. So it was the Titans-Texans. And it was the game that André Johnson punched Cortland Finnegan in the face, which was fantastic because nobody liked that dude. Go back into the history of football and look up Cortland Finnegan.
Oh, yeah.
And nobody liked this cat. Played with a vigor that you wouldn't believe, but nobody liked this dude. And so it just made me like André Johnson even more.
Nice.
And then, yes, Arian Foster was on my fantasy team. So that didn't hurt.
Of course.
For sure. So, but those are my things. I don't, as I said, I'm going to be very passionate about Cubs and Tar Heels. We can discuss stuff on the football side, though.
Well, that wraps up some of the major sports. Any other sports you're into, Clint?
I'm an avid golfer.
Okay.
I've just gotten into disc golf, thanks, Dominic.
Welcome.
So that's fantastic. And love tennis. So tennis and golf are my other things besides the major sports. Not so much a hockey guy. Went to the first ever Carolina Hurricanes game back in 1997, 98 when they played at the Greensboro Coliseum against the Penguins. Been to a couple Hurricanes games since, and they're really, really fun. It's just really hard to pronounce those guys' names. And so it's like I don't know. I just never got into it. I never got into it. And, being from the South, maybe that's a problem.
You tried pronouncing some of the names on the Carolina football team?
Yes. Yes. Seems to come a little bit easier.
Less vowels.
Yeah. Yeah. But, the golf thing is something that I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
Don't really have a favorite golfer besides Tiger Woods, which that's kind of typical for my generation.
Tiger. I mean, is he going to make a comeback or not? I mean,
he's already made a comeback, bro.
I think it's
2018, he won the PGA, the last event on the tour for his first win in a very long time, and then he came back last year and won the Masters. No, not last year, 2019.
Yeah.
The 2020 Masters is just kind of weird. DJ ran away with it, and it's coming up in a few months. He's going to be playing. I'm a huge fan of Tiger. He just makes golf more exciting. It's like a real life Happy Gilmore.
He also makes the Waffle House more exciting.
Yeah.
I think you mean Perkins. But yes.
Same difference. Come on, man.
But
We're in the
yes,
South.
he did.
Perkins is called Waffle House here.
All right, so enough about me, Dom. Let's hear about you.
Okay. So as far as professional sports go, I have several affiliations. First and foremost, of course, is the Carolina Hurricanes. I'm at games all the time.
For you guys that can't see this
pre-COVID.
podcast, he is wearing a Storm Squad jersey here
Not
today.
a Storm Squad jersey, dickhead.
Storm Squad.
I'm wearing the alternate home jersey with
is.
the black. The
and
Storm
red.
Squad, they're the cheerleaders, right?
It is a
Yeah.
very nice jersey. It's a very nice jersey.
Yes, it is. Thank you very much. Buffalo Bills football, of course. And I'm originally from Virginia Beach, but my whole family is from Buffalo, so I was born and raised a Bills fan. Through thick and thin, through 4 straight Super Bowls, through 4 straight Super Bowl losses, through 25 years of just wretched agony. And I lived through a little bit of agony last night. We're recording the day after the AFC Championship game when the Bills just didn't show up to play football last night. I don't even know what happened.
It was tough, bro. It was
Yeah, it
tough
was
to
brutal.
watch.
It was brutal.
We all thought it was going to be a better game than
I thought it was going to be a better game than that too. I mean, when the Bills went up 9-0, I thought,
Right.
man, they could run away with it, and then they just forgot to play the rest of the first quarter, and then the second.
You know what I
quarter,
saw
and-
yesterday in that, man? And I was looking at it from a person that had no dog in a fight,
Yeah.
right? And we already told you a little while ago before we got on the air that we were preoccupied while this game was on. So every time I looked down and looked at the game, they were running the ball and not effectively. And so Devin Singletary is not the guy that you need to be pushing the run game with, but you need a run game to keep Kansas City honest.
There were a couple of things with that game. First of all, yes, Buffalo's run game is
Terrible.
nothing to
Non-existent.
speak of. But the offensive line, just in general, was atrocious.
Yeah.
Through the course of the year, Buffalo graded out as the 10th best offensive line by Pro Football Focus.
Number 1 was the Browns.
Yeah, number 1 was the Browns, but still, number 10 isn't too bad.
It's good.
In fact,
10 out of 32, you're in the top third.
Well, number 11 was Kansas City.
Yeah.
Okay, so the expectation was, at least in the pass blocking game, they would be able to keep up. But, I mean, they were blocking 3 and 4 guys with 5 and were just getting thrown. And that was ridiculous.
Do you
There's
think
no reason
the
why.
10, 20,000 fans that were there had anything to do with that?
I don't know if the fans had something to do with it. It might have been the fact that was the first game really of the season that Josh Allen and the offense had to deal with any kind of significant crowd noise, and the fact that they had not had the opportunity to practice against that or have game experience against that could have caused some issues. But the reality of the situation is you got to hit your block.
Yeah.
Those guys were not hitting their blocks, and so Josh Allen wasn't getting any time.
Well, so do you remember back when we did the fantasy episode when Merrill was in studio, how he was saying that he said Kansas City is probably going to win the Super Bowl again because their defense is just good enough to keep people out of the end zone when their offense needs them to?
Well,
that proved right.
That proved right last night,
Yeah.
but they were in the bottom third of the league for the entire rest of the season when it came to preventing touchdowns in the red zone.
Right.
So,
Well, you got to get to the red zone first.
And Buffalo was in the top 10 when it came to scoring touchdowns in the end zone.
Well, Josh Allen's been automatic in the red zone to begin with.
Exactly,
so.
but he did shit for running.
Yeah.
Yesterday. He had a couple of decent runs, but I think that they should have ran him on more designed run plays just to keep the Kansas City defense.
To me, it looked like
honest.
that would have had to been up the middle though, because it looked like they were
they
were
could have.
bringing everybody, the ends they were bringing around and keeping him inside instead
Right.
of letting him get outside to run is what it looked like.
Right, but they were playing the way that the game was set up. They were playing such tight man defense
Yes.
on the wide receivers
Because they can.
because. Yes, but they could because they weren't forcing anything with the run game.
Right.
Exactly.
If the run game was doing anything, they would have had to back off a little bit on that, play more zone, dedicate more men to the box, and that's really Josh Allen. You've got to run him up the middle
Right.
at that point. We're getting
we're getting
too
way off topic.
far
We're getting
into-
way off topic.
Yeah, we can do an entire episode about
And
my
we
breakdown of the AFC Championship game.
We might do that.
But suffice it to say, Bills fan.
Okay. Yep, we know the Bills.
Right.
Okay.
So I'm not huge, honestly, into college basketball or basketball. I enjoy it.
Yes.
I like watching it more when you get to the NCAA tournament and when you get to the NBA playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
But during the regular season, I mean, there's just too much noise. There's too many other things going on.
Understandable.
I got 3 teenagers in the house and business to run, et cetera, et
But I
cetera.
will say, to add a note to Dom's not watching college basketball, if he did care about college basketball, we all know where his allegiance would lie here because of the fact that he's been to a couple of Carolina games.
The first Carolina game I went to was Carolina Duke.
So that doesn't hurt.
Yeah, that doesn't hurt. Yeah, being in the lower bowl, right next to the student section,
The college basketball rivalry,
yeah, that was
not just in the state.
that was outstanding.
Right.
That was outstanding.
Absolutely.
So
Agreed.
definitely pull for the Tar Heels.
All right, so now that we got your sports biases,
Sure.
what about you? Who are you? Who is Dom?
I'm not going to give you my age, but it's certainly older than Clint.
Barely.
Like I said, I got 3 teenagers at the house. Got a business I run.
New fiance?
Not quite
New-ish
New-ish fiance. I'm a former chef, so love food.
And a damn
love beverage.
good one. Let me just put that out there right now.
Also, love to have a sip every now and again of a tasty beverage. Right now,
Like we
I'm
are?
having right now we are sipping on
great.
Elijah Craig
Yeah.
rye.
And it's good.
Neat.
It's nice and sweet.
Exactly. So I've got a speakeasy in my garage.
That you
built
do,
out.
sir.
Built in 2020. So we figured it's the 20s again.
Yeah.
Bars are illegal again.
Again.
So
No coincidence
why
there.
not a speakeasy?
There you go.
Built a bar. I'm a second level Cicerone, which is a beer sommelier, beer expert. So love craft beers, love all sorts of whiskeys, can do anything with food, anything with alcohol. So love to talk about that. Anytime I get an opportunity to bring that into the conversation about sports, I will. I'm an avid disc golfer.
Yep.
So not an avid golfer, very, very bad at golf. In fact, Clint just got me into golf recently, and he can tell you from experience, I am suck at golf.
Dom, what am I going to say to you?
Golf is hard.
Okay.
Golf is hard.
End of story.
Disc golf is hard.
It is.
As well.
It's not easy.
No, not at all. And there's some really great courses in this area. I lived in Charlotte for about 16 years. There are a ton of great courses in Charlotte every year. The U.S. PDGA Open is played in Charlotte, as have a number of world championships been played in Charlotte. The most recent was 2012. And a lot of courses have been built recently in the Raleigh-Durham area. There are some great pros that live here. Elaine King is local to Durham, and she is a
Hopefully gonna be on the show.
Hopefully going to be on the show. She's a multi-time women's world champion, so one of the best of all time.
I will
Hall
add
of
in
Famer.
something here.
Yeah.
Dominic's knowledge of bourbon is something that I have not seen ever. I had the pleasure of being not involved, but at his speakeasy when he was doing a networking event for a friend that was a bourbon tasting.
A virtual bourbon
A
tasting.
virtual bourbon
I
tasting.
sent everybody who was on that call all the
whiskey.
bourbons that
That's
we were
right.
tasting.
It was, and to hear Dom talk about it and to taste it like he said to taste it, it changes it. And it's more of an experience instead of a drink.
Exactly.
And if any of our listeners ever want to pick Dom's brain, I highly, highly encourage that, for sure.
Of course. You can reach me on Twitter at Joe Schmos Sports.
That's right.
Yeah.
Or at the Liquid Soapbox.
Well, we're going to do the sports show here.
Right.
So,
But it's both.
of course.
Right.
But at Schmos Sports on Twitter.
Right.
And the Instagram handle is
Joe Schmo Sports Show.
Joe Schmo Sports Show. Come
Yep.
see us there.
So anything to add before we get to Mr. Dre Cameron here?
If I have anything else to add, I'll add it later because I can't think of anything more. I'm on my third bourbon.
All right. So that being said, let's go to the man on the ones and twos, the guy behind the curtain that is responsible for everything we do on this show and how great it comes out. Mr. Dre Cameron, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, sir?
How y'all doing? My name's André Cameron. I'm 46 years old. Probably shouldn't have said that, but it's okay.
And he's got the quiet storm voice going on today, so pay attention, ladies.
I have a degree in digital effects and animation technology, done some film and video. My alliances go like this.
Yep.
I'm a Tar Heel
Nice.
through and through. Every single sport that has to do with the Tar Heels, I'm about that.
Lacrosse.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely lacrosse.
Sticks and nets, baby.
Yeah,
Sticks
I had
and
a friend
nets.
of mine who used to play lacrosse at Randolph-Macon. So,
Nice.
Yeah, lacrosse is pretty. I love lacrosse. NFL, Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm a Steelers fan. Pretty tough year for us. It was a solid year as far as
Tough year. You guys went 11-0 and then lost 4 or 5. How about that?
Yeah, and that's what really makes it
That's
tough.
brutal.
That's what really makes it tough. Somehow we beat your Bills.
No, you didn't.
When we shouldn't have.
No, you didn't.
Did they not?
No, you didn't.
Y'all didn't play.
No.
Did y'all play this year?
Yeah, we did, and they did not beat the Bills. That did not happen. Fact check. We were your second loss right after you got beat by the Washington football team.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about something else. You're right. That was that second loss.
I think maybe the loss to the Browns in the playoffs is clouding your judgment.
I think it might have been the third loss to the Cincinnati Bengals that's clouding his judgment right now.
Goodness.
Well, you know what?
Goodness.
One of the worst
The
losses,
Joe Burrow list.
One of the worst losses
Cincinnati
I think
Bengals.
Ryan
Pittsburgh
Finley.
ever had was when I forgot who their quarterback was.
Who, Pittsburgh's?
No, it might have been Bubby Brister.
Oh my gosh.
You're going
guys
way
remember?
back to the
You know
90s.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's like
I
old
remember.
school.
There was a game, man. There was a game against Cincinnati, man, that they faked downing the ball to run the clock out. He barely put his knee down and never touched the ground and got back up and threw a bomb for a touchdown.
Goodness.
Yeah, just to rub it in. And I'll never forget that.
Was
But anyway,
Boomer Esiason still the quarterback for the Bengals at that time?
He had to have been hurt.
I don't know who. I forgot who it was. Again, this Elijah Craig is
It's good
creeping
shit,
up
man.
on me. Right now. I forgot what I was gonna say about myself. Right now.
So we're a Tar Heel. Yeah. We're a Steeler.
We're
Right.
Steeler.
What else you got?
Baseball. This is an interesting story.
I didn't talk about baseball, but go ahead.
Then,
Yeah.
I'm a Blue Jays fan.
What?
And that came about because one year my father took me to a Braves game, and I was really small, and we went to a hat rack, and he told me to pick out whichever hat I wanted.
Carolina Blue, baby.
And that was the only hat that stuck out to me, and I loved it. It was a Blue Jays hat, you know, the blue one, and then it's just white in the front, the old school mesh joint. And since I got that hat, I was like a Toronto everything. So Maple Leafs, you know what I'm saying? I'm all about.
Well, so you were happy when Vince Carter went to the Raptors.
Oh yeah, yeah. You know
Air
what I'm
Canada.
saying? Hell yeah,
Right.
you know what I'm saying. But even though I've never really been a Raptors fan, I was more of a Sixers fan.
I was about to say, you didn't like it when Kawhi went up there.
Probably not.
I've never been a Raptors fan. I was a Sixers fan. Julius Erving, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I mean, how could you not be
You know what I'm saying?
a Julius Erving fan?
Those were my people. There,
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and a fun fact about Dre, he knows a lot about hockey and NASCAR. He actually
Nice.
plays fantasy hockey.
Fantasy hockey.
Fantasy hockey.
Also, fantasy bull riding.
I don't.
What?
I don't even know what to say about that, Dre.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna
Fantasy
leave.
bull
I'm just
riding.
gonna leave that there.
Man, there
Do you have to wear a leather all head mask with a zipper when you play fantasy
As long
bull
as
riding?
it's not assless chaps, I think I'm okay.
No, no, you don't, man. But bull riding is very interesting, man. Because
bet it is.
Is it based on seconds?
It's really more about the bull than it is the rider. You know what I'm saying?
It sounds like it.
Yeah, but how is it scored fantasy wise? Are you drafting the bull or are you drafting the rider?
Are you going over under 8 seconds?
You're drafting both.
Both, because
That is interesting.
you have to understand the bulls get graded also.
Oh yeah,
So,
I know.
I mean,
I've seen it enough.
The bulls make money also.
Yeah.
So
it's like
yes.
horse racing. Their owners make the money.
So yeah, the bulls make money, man. You know, there was a bull out there named Asteroid for a while that was really, really tough to ride. I think a few people have ridden him now, and he's gone. I haven't even seen much of Asteroid in a while.
Things you didn't know you would hear today.
But bull riding's interesting. You got to give it a shot, man.
I mean, I've seen it. I've seen it a few times. So.
The only bull riding I'm interested in is like the mechanical bulls and the bar.
Oh yeah, sure, like the PBA bars or whatever,
exactly.
like that.
You see the old drunk girls in the cowboy hats.
That's a good time.
Yeah,
that's a good time.
Watch them
That's fun.
fly.
Have either one of you ever ridden a mechanical bull?
Hell no.
Nope.
No.
And I probably would.
I haven't either.
I would
Someone
not.
tried to get me on one, and I almost did.
I think that
But
would be an
then-
interesting segment,
It would be an interesting segment.
as long as we have a video.
Oh, hell yeah.
I think that would be amazing to put
I'd
on
do
Twitter.
it if y'all did it.
I would do it. I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, this is going to get into a new regular recurring segment called Never Have I Ever.
Never have I ever.
Or Never Would I Ever. Yeah,
I
I am
think
not
that
doing
would
that
be good.
shit. I am.
Or would you ever?
Look, I'm too old. How about one is I'm too old for this shit.
Yeah. Oh, that's a really good. That's a really good one.
We got to get a good old Danny
really
Glover cut
good.
on that one.
Raj, meet your new partner. I'm too old for this shit.
That's too old for this shit. I like it.
I like
That would be a
that
good sound
lot.
drop.
Oh,
so
yeah.
we might put that in. You should write that down on your little laptop thing you got there,
I'm
Dom.
going to.
Dude,
Yeah.
you've come up with some.
He's come up with some fire today.
ideas
It's
today,
definitely been
man.
some good stuff, man.
Seriously,
Yeah.
three really, really good ones.
So I think that everybody's gotten a little bit more than they bargained for on an intro episode.
That's because
yeah.
of me.
But you know, it's just when you get a couple of guys getting around talking about sports, it just goes in different directions a lot of
course.
times. You know, so the point of this was to get you guys to get to know us a little bit and a little bit about the show. And as we said in the intro, we're just regular people, and we just know enough about sports. And not only that, we know enough people that deal with sports.
That's the important thing
to be able to have this.
Is that so we're all heavy networkers.
Yes.
So the types of folks that we can bring to the show and that we already have.
Oh,
we
it's
have
going to
some
be
cuts.
epic. It's going to be epic.
We have.
Yeah, so we'll tease it a little.
Yeah,
we'll
go
tease
ahead.
it a little.
Go ahead.
So the first episode that we are going to drop is going to be with Miss D Todd.
Yes.
And I'm not going to get into all of Miss D's specifics, but let's just say she is the first to do a lot of things.
Yes.
And and all of them
things.
have to do with sports.
She's an athletic trailblazer.
She is an amazing woman. It's a fantastic interview. And that will be our first show we're going to put out in a few weeks.
And the fun thing about the show, I think, is that we're going to talk about things you're probably not going to hear about
That's right.
on other shows. We're going to talk about things from also a different perspective. So we have a recording. I'll just brief introduction to some of the other things that we've done. We have a show recorded talking about performance enhancing drugs.
Correct.
And we're not going to take the normal perspective, which is simply
Don't do it.
don't do it, or well, we're going to say don't do it. I'm going to say
Right.
don't do it. But however, we had a conversation.
We did.
And we
My
also
eyes.
and it did open it opened all of our eyes. But I will say, normally when you hear performance enhancing drugs in sports, you literally only hear so and so was suspended for X number of games for
Right.
violation of of PED regs. And that's it. There's no examination. There's no explanation. It's just he got
They
caught
did
with
it.
X.
Here it
and
is.
they're out.
Right.
Right. And there's trust me, there's more to it, and we explore some of those
Yes, we do.
questions that probably don't get addressed in the normal sports media because you know what?
They're just so regulated.
We don't have a dog in the fight. We don't have access issues. We don't have issues with the fact that we host any of these particular sports on any of our networks.
That's right.
So we can talk about whatever we want,
however we want.
So
and one of the unique things we're also going to bring to our listeners is we're going to come at it from all different types of perspectives.
Sure.
So we're not only going to have athletes, but we are going to have athletes, former and current. We also are going to have people that are in sales for major league sports teams.
Sure.
We are going to have people that are in the front offices for major league sports teams.
something you don't normally get publicized.
That's right.
The business
side
sports.
of business, right?
Exactly.
And we are going to try to give you guys anything and everything from the back end business side to the officials that make the calls that you are anguishing over or pissed off about. We're going to talk to these people as well. And then, as I said, we're going to talk to current and former athletes.
Right.
And some of them are going to be local. Some of them are going to be national. So it's just going to be a different perspective type show that we're going to bring you guys.
And when the next big PBA Bowl goes out to stud, Andre's going to make sure he finds out exactly how much it is per load.
All right.
Are we going to do some other fun stuff too here, man?
We're going to do a lot of other fun stuff too. However, this is not the only show that's going to come out of the studio. Nope. So be prepared for that information. So fellas, anything else that we need on this intro pod that you guys want to throw in? Anything at all?
Nah, man, this ain't even an intro. This is just a trailer.
Right.
We're teasing y'all.
Yeah, we're just teasing you.
You don't even know what's coming. But if you like this,
epic stuff,
you'll love the show.
You're gonna love
Subscribe. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram.
Please rate us.
Yes, please rate. Give us a 5-star review.
Yep.
And if you don't give us a 5-star review,
we'll read it on the air.
We're gonna read it on the air. And we're gonna make fun of you. So
that's right.
Get ready for that shit too.
Hey, should we let them know what type of shows might be coming out of this studio?
Hey,
you know what? Let's let them wait. Let's let them wait.
We're gonna talk Joe Schmo right now.
Let's let that first episode drop real quick, and then we can let out some more knowledge after that, Dre. We do have some exciting stuff coming, so I do appreciate that little tease, Dre. That was a good little drop in, and we will give you guys that on the first full episode of the Joe Schmo Sports Show, which will be in the next few weeks. It's going to be on all your major podcast affiliates.
By the time you're listening to this, we're going to have some other episodes drop at the same time.
We will indeed.
Yep.
We will indeed. So it's going to be on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher.
Everywhere you download.
Everywhere you download. Rate us, subscribe us, review us, and you might get a little prize kicked your way every once in a while.
And we look forward to hearing from you.
We do look forward to hearing the good and the bad.
And the ugly, which is my mirror.
All right, so for Mr. Dom Battistella and Mr. Dre Cameron, again, I'm Clint Webb, and this is the Joe Schmo Sports Show, and we will see you guys next time.
Cut the theme music.
Drop.